G'day, I'm Dave Cummins from Future Property Group, and welcome to the Future of Sustainable Development, the podcast where we explore the ideas shaping tomorrow's built environment. Today, we're exploring the importance of urban developments. What are they? Why are they important? And how to embrace them. At its simplest, an urban development is the way we design and build the cities, towns, and neighbourhoods where most of us now live. Over half of humanity already lives in urban areas, and the United Nations projects that by 2050, that number will rise to about 70%. That's billions of people relying on the choices we make in how cities grow. And here's the thing. Those choices determine not only the look of our skylines, but the health of our planet and the well-being of every person who calls a city home. The history of urban development has always mirrored our ambitions. Ancient cities like Athens and Rome pioneered roads, bringing people together in ways that transformed economies and democracies. The Industrial Revolution took cities vertical, with steel and elevators enabling skyscrapers and dense business districts. But it also brought smog, overcrowding, and unhealthy living. In fact, a study in the Lancet Public Health traced how 19th century urban overcrowding shortened life expectancy by more than 15 years in some industrial cities. The lesson was clear. Urban development without foresight comes at a cost. The benefit of modern urban development, when done right, are extraordinary. Walkable cities, integrated transport, green infrastructure, and mixed-use design create not just convenience, but healthy lifestyles. Research published in the Journal of Urban Health found that residents of walkable, mixed-use neighbourhoods were 35% more physically active and had lower obesity rates compared to those in car-dependent suburbs. Another study in environmental health perspectives confirmed that living within 300 metres of green space significantly reduced depression and anxiety. And the World Green Building Council highlights that dense, transit-orientated developments can cut transport emissions by up to 50% compared to sprawl. So why don't we embrace these models more often? Part of the resistance comes down to cost perception. Developers and city planners often prioritise short-term profit and speed of delivery over long-term value. Research in the Journal of Sustainable Real Estate showed that green certified developments achieve 3% higher rental incomes and 16% higher sale prices. Yet too often, projects are rushed to meet budgets and deadlines rather than to create enduring value. Another barrier is cultural inertia. Cities that have been designed for cars for nearly a century, and changing that mindset is hard. A report in Nature Sustainability found that in many nations, road infrastructure receives 3 times more funding than public transport and cycling combined. Old habits of car-centric planning persist even though the evidence tells us that they damage health, harm ecosystem, and increase emissions. There's also the matter of inequality. Urban development too often leaves out diversity of user groups. A study in Cities Journal highlighted that poorly designed housing and transport systems disproportionately affect women, the elderly, and people with disabilities. When we don't design inclusively, we don't design sustainably. But the inspiring part is that around the world, we are seeing bold examples that prove better urban development is not only possible, it's already happening. In Australia, Sydney's Barangaroo precinct is one of the world's largest carbon neutral urban development projects, according to the Australian government's clean energy regulator. Barangaroo has reduced emissions by over 50% to standard precincts, thanks to renewable energy, water recycling, and green roofs. Melbourne's urban forest strategy, aiming to double canopy cover by 2040, is not just about beautification. Globally, Singapore is often the gold standard. Called the city in a garden, it has created more than 72 hectares of green roofs and skylines. Studies in energy and buildings show that these measures have reduced neighbourhood temperatures by up to 4 degrees Celsius, while improving biodiversity and improving air quality. In Copenhagen, nearly 50% of all commutes are done by cycling. A design choice that cuts millions of tonnes of emissions annually, as documented in the Journal of Transport and Health. And in Colombia, the installation of green corridors lowered average city temperatures by 2 degrees Celsius and reduced air pollution by 36%, according to the International Journal of Environmental Research and Public Health. So how do we embrace more sustainable urban developments? First, by integrating evidence into every decision. Research in buildings and environments show that daylight, passive cooling, and natural ventilation can cut building energy demands by up to 30%. That's not just better for the environment, it's cheaper for everyone who lives there. Second, by aligning finances with outcomes. Green bonds and sustainably linked loans are already financing major projects worldwide. The Journal of Sustainable Finance and Investment found that green bond-backed developments have high investor demands and deliver stronger returns. When we channel money towards sustainability, innovation follows. Third, by engaging communities in the design process. The Journal of Environmental Psychology demonstrated that residents who participate in shaping their neighbourhoods report 20% higher satisfaction and stronger social cohesion. Engagement isn't just democracy, it's durability, because people protect what they help build. What needs to change most is our mindset of progress. For decades, shiny skyscrapers and endless highways have been sold as the image of success. Yet the World Economic Forum has warned that construction accounts for nearly 30% of global biodiversity loss. If that's progress, it's progress we can't afford. We need to redefine the modern world not just as glass and concrete, but as ecosystems restored in a way that people can help thrive. What would occur if we embraced more urban developments built on these principles? We would see healthier cities, as the Journal of Urban Health confirmed, with higher physical activity and lower obesity rates. We would see stronger economies with higher rental yields. We would see cities cooler, cleaner and safer, echoing the findings from Singapore, Copenhagen and Medellin in Colombia. We would see the property sector play its part in reducing the 39% of global emissions that the World Green Building Council attributes to buildings and construction. The take-home message is this: urban development is not just about where we live, it's about how we live. It's not just about the number of towers on the skyline, but the quality of life they create on the ground. Done poorly, it fuels inequality, emissions, and disconnection. Done well, it is one of the greatest tools that we have for tackling climate change, improving health, and strengthening communities. As Fred Kaufman reminds us, leadership is about aligning actions with purpose. And as John Mackay has argued in his work on conscious capitalism, business must create shared values for people and planet to truly thrive. Urban development is where those principles meet reality, where values become streets, schools, homes, and communities are either depleted or regenerated in the world among us. So the real question is not whether urban development matters, it does. The question is whether we are bold enough to reimagine it for the force of good it should be. Thank you for tuning in to the Future of Sustainable Development. Join us next time as we uncover fresh research, new innovations and best practices for building smarter, greener and more resilient buildings. Until then, let's continue to build places that help heal the land and empower communities for tomorrow.